Good afternoon now. uh, how is everyone doing today? My name is Herbert Brown. So glad to be able to participate in this month's Tech Talk brought to you by the Beam Path. Love the work that they're doing. And yeah, let's just get into it. Before I get started, though, I would like to send a special um, show of gratitude to Mr. Rich Sun, who is the co-founder of the Mississippi Coding Academies. Rich passed away last month around this time, and his memorial service is being held today. And I was going to attend the service, um, but I thought about Rich and what he would say to me. And honestly, if you know Rich, if you've ever met him, he would say, Herbert, I'm already dead. Go and talk about the Coding Academy. So that's why I'm here. So yes, really grateful for Rich and giving me this opportunity. And it's opened so many doors for me and ultimately open doors for other people. So I want to go ahead and get into my presentation. I hope everyone can see my screen that I am sharing here. So what I am going to talk about is computational thinking being the new barrier. A little bit about myself. Again, my name is Herbert Brown. I'm 42 years old. I am the senior instructor for the Mississippi Coding Academies. We've been running since 2017. I'm actually one of the first hires for the Academy. My family, my wife is Cassandra. I have two children, Yasani and Josiah. Yasani is a junior at North Carolina A&T. Josiah is a ninth grader at Jackson Tougaloo Early College High School. Some of my hobbies you can see there. I love to DJ. If you look behind me, you see I love collecting vinyls, a big passion of mine. Also enjoy reading, working out, and coding. So those are some of the things that I enjoy doing. Also, along with Rich, I would like to talk about someone else who's very, very important to me, and that is Dr. Robert Paris Moses. Doc, as I've always called him, civil rights leader and founder of the Algebra Project. So my story and the story of the Coding Academy goes along with the trajectory of the work that Doc did in the Civil Rights Movement, Algebra Project, and beyond. But here you see after the Emmett Till funeral, Doc, he left his job as a teacher in New York City to help improve the conditions of the South. He joined the Student Nonviolent Coordinating. I can't SNCC. I should be ashamed of myself. I'm bad with acronyms. But Doc, he joined SNCC back in the late 50s and joined with Ella Baker and a lot of other important individuals. Moved to Mississippi, and he helped sharecroppers learn to read in order to pass the poll tax, ensuring their right to vote. Back then, there was a poll tax where individuals had to read a portion of the Constitution and be able to interpret it in order to obtain the right to vote. So that was a barrier there because sharecroppers and their children would spend, just a couple of months in school, and the rest of the time they were out working fields, and hence the name sharecropper education came from that, because you were only given so much education to do a certain task. And so that was the barrier there. And you see that the idea was back then, reading was the barrier to economic empowerment, because if you are not able to read, then you are not able to vote, essentially, which means that you are not able to make decisions for your community. You cannot participate in that process. You have other people making decisions for you. So that's the challenge that Doc and so many other individuals had in the 50s and 60s. So 1964, the Voting Rights Act passed, and it spread out. Voting rights are spread out, but the work continues. Dr. Moses, he moved to Tanzania in the 70s, was teaching out there, came back to the United States, and in the early 80s, he created the Algebra Project. It was rooted in his daughter's algebra course back in the 8th grade. His eldest daughter, Maisha, she was not learning algebra along with her classmates, and Dr. Moses thought that was a huge problem, that she was in the 8th grade and not being taught algebra. So he came to the school, talked with the teacher, asked if he could take her and some other students who would be interested, set them to the side and teach them algebra. And really organized around that, and found out that there were a lot of students that wanted to learn algebra and not be afraid of it. So essentially, that's what the Algebra Project came from, and it grew into a national organization that is focused on raising the floor in public education. And so education now becomes a tool to empower individuals and not a tool for stratification. What I mean by that is the Algebra Project and other organizations like it used education as a way to enhance individuals and give and empower them, make them feel worth something. They can make their own decisions in life, and not creating class, which is essentially what education has been used for pretty much since the history of education. So the idea was, where reading was the barrier in the 1960s, algebra becomes the new barrier. The philosophy that we have at the Algebra Project is that students would, if they're not intimidated by college algebra, then the chances of them completing college are greatly increased. Most students, I'm not necessarily one of them, but I know a lot of individuals who are, frightened by algebra. They get to college algebra, they drop out of the course because it's too much for them. And if they drop out of that, then more likely they're probably going to drop out of college. So what the Algebra Project did was, we introduced algebra to individuals at a much younger age, even before they take Algebra 1 in middle school or high school, and using different methods, different pedagogy in teaching algebra, and thus they are not intimidated by Algebra 1. They're not intimidated by any of the courses afterwards, and they can go on to college and complete. And now they have a little bit more opportunities for economic empowerment and other decisions in their lives. So I started working with the Young People's Project in 2004, which is an umbrella, or the Algebra Project is an umbrella organization for the Young People's Project. We focused more on after school work as opposed to in-class instruction. Shortly after I started working with the Young People's Project, I met Doc. I started working in his classroom at Lanier High School, 833, back in 2005 as a teacher assistant. And at that time, I didn't finish college at that point. I was very young and just naive, if you will. But I could do math, and honestly, in middle school, I struggled with algebra. I passed it by 1 point, actually. It wasn't that I couldn't understand it. My issue was I couldn't present the work in the way the teacher wanted me to present it. And so what I had to learn how to do, and what really saved me that school year and kept me from repeating the 8th grade, was I would look at the problem, and I just had a pattern in my head where I knew what the answer was somehow. and I would write the answer first and then work my way back up to the actual problem. And that's really what saved me through Algebra 1. I figured that out really late in the game. I don't know what that was, but that's just, maybe that's just part of my story. But anyways, I had issues presenting the work in the way that the teacher wanted. And when I got to the Young People's Project and I started working under Doc at Lanier, I saw that he was teaching in the same way that I always viewed algebra. So it became really easy for me to connect with the students and present to them the lessons and everything, because here's somebody who had structured and formalized what I always saw in my head. And I thought there was something kind of like wrong with me. So that gave me a lot of confidence, like, hey, I can do this, right? I can teach. And shortly after that school year, my first year there, Dr. Moses, he came to me and he told me that he was going to move to Miami to start the Algebra Project there. And he wanted me to stay at Lanier and teach. And so that was how I started teaching. I mean, it's, hey, no college degree at the time, no formal experience or any kind of, I had nothing, right? It just, here I am, I just know math. That's really what it was. But yeah, I started working at Lanier High School, teaching Algebra Project. I did that for 4 years. And later on in 2013, Dr. Moses came to me and asked me to be on the board for the Algebra Project because they needed somebody who had experience actually teaching the curriculum. So that's how I got on the board. And then in 2016, I was asked to serve as treasurer for the board. So I'm currently on the board. This is my 9th year. Actually, I just made 9 years last month on the board for the Algebra Project. And the ideas of the Algebra Project really have shaped the work that I do now at the Mississippi Coding Academy. So the idea, again, was that reading in the 60s was the barrier, if you will, for economic empowerment. Because again, if you can't read, then you cannot pass this poll tax, which means you cannot vote. You can't make decisions for you and your community. You are not counted, if you will. And then that turned into algebra, thinking algebraically. That became the new barrier, because if a student is intimidated by math, essentially, then they are less likely to go to college, take college algebra, which is a requirement, pass, and move on further with their life, graduate, and seek out employment. Well, I have an idea now, and I know I'm not the only person with this idea, but my philosophy now is that computational thinking is the new barrier. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that. So when we're talking about computational thinking, I'm simply stating thinking like a computer. How do we as human beings process things, okay, and how that affects us economically, if you will. So according to World.io, I'm doing some research because I wanted to know, how many people can code. What are the implications of all of that? And I found out this number. This is just really fascinating to me. That only 0.5% of the entire world actually knows how to code. Less than 1%, half of 1% of the entire world knows how to code. And that's considerably small when you understand that, and there's something else I looked up, 5 billion people on the planet out of 7 billion own their own computer. Because if you own one of these babies right here, if you own a smartphone, then you own a computer, at least one computer. So you're talking about 5 billion people use this technology, use a phone, a computer, some type of device, but only 0.5% of the entire world actually knows how to talk to the computer and make it do something. And one of the analogies that I use when I talk to high school students in particular is, think about or consider if only 0.5% of the world knows how to cook, because we all have to eat, right? We all have to eat, but only 0.5% of the entire world knows how to cook. Now I'm in that 0.5%, so I'm okay. Like I'm going to eat. But if somebody else wants to eat, they come to me, hey, Herb, listen, hey, Claire, I heard you cook. I'm hungry. Let me get one of them plates from you, man. I just need a plate. Well, if I'm in that 0.5%, I'm like, okay, I'll make you a plate. My plate start at 500, because where is she going to get food from? If only 0.5% of the world knows how to cook, where are you going to get your food from? And then some of the kids will say, well, I just go make a sandwich. I'm like, to make bread, that requires cooking. So a loaf of bread is not going to cost you $2.79 or whatever Kroger charges for it now. It's probably going to be closer to $75, $80, if that, maybe even more than that. So you see, so when I bring that analogy to them, it kind of connects and they understand the gravity of the situation that we have right now, currently in this city, in this state, in this country, really across the globe. There's not enough people out there who are doing the work. So this is the new barrier right now, computational thinking. And it's really, my language, I could change that because it's not really a new barrier. This is currently where we are. We've been this way for a while. So yes, digital literacy is now the gateway to economic empowerment, because if you can think like a computer, that creates more opportunities for you. And it's not about, being employed as a developer, right? You don't necessarily have to be a computer programmer to be able to think computationally. But it's the shift in the philosophy in all of our industries, really. I did go back to college and finish. I have a degree in business administration from DI Love, and I have a bachelor's in finance from Mississippi College. So, I don't use them, but business is, kind of where my head was at the time, and just how organizations and companies structure themselves. And companies are now reimagining themselves as tech companies that provide a service. What do I mean by that? You look at a bank, okay, Regions or Trustmark Bank Plus. They don't consider themselves a finance company or financial company. They are a tech company that provides a financial service. You just look at the services that are provided now. You have a lot less people that are going into the bank to make deposits or cashing a check or anything. Now, all that stuff is being done over the phone now. You go to your mobile app, you can check your balance, you can transfer funds, you can make deposits. You practically can do all the financial services, or a lot of the financial services, over the phone. Now, there's some things, that are exceptions to it, but a lot of the services that just ordinary, regular people do day to day, a lot of that is done over the phone. So that cuts down on the traffic that is going on inside the bank. We're not going face to face to the tellers. Another example, we're hopefully on the tail end of a pandemic, and where would we be if it were not for DoorDash or Uber Eats or Waiter? Those apps, they're not food delivery services. They're tech services they're tech companies that provide food delivery service. Same thing with like Instacart. It saved a lot of people, cut down on the human interaction that, potentially could threaten our health and our lives. Where would we be without that? I mean, before DoorDash and Uber Eats and Waiter, I mean, the only time we could order food and have it brought to our house, it had to be pizza, right? So things have changed. Skills are being redesigned because of technology. So it's not something that we should be afraid of. It is something that we definitely should embrace, and we need to start thinking like a computer and able to have these opportunities. Because again, skills are being redesigned, which means that jobs are changing, positions are changing. And this point that I have here, this will never work, will never work. What I mean by that is we don't know what lies ahead in the future. In 2000, year 2000, I was a pizza delivery driver for Papa John's when I was in college in Starkville. And I remember specifically getting our very first online order. It was me and the manager. I was boxing up some pieces, getting ready to deliver them. And the online order comes in, gets a little paper receipt. And he's like, wow, we just got our first online order. And I was saying, and I said, this will never work. I literally said that. That came out of my mouth. This will never work. Who wants to order a pizza over computer? They can just call it in. This is stupid. This doesn't make any kind of sense. They'll call it in, and that's what we'll do. We'll talk to somebody, order a pizza over the phone. This online will never work. And I am eating crow and have been eating crow since 2000, last 22 years because of that. So this concept, this idea of this will never work because technology, whatever our minds can imagine, we can become that. It will manifest through technology. So being able to think like a computer helps to ensure the opportunity not only for employment but entrepreneurship. That's the point I'm just making. Whatever ideas that we can come up with, that you and I come up with, we can take those ideas and with the use of technology, we can make them manifest. We can do whatever it is we want to do. And our only boundaries, our only limits are our minds and what we think we can do. So let's talk about the Mississippi Coding Academies. We are an 11-month course in fundamentals of full stack web development. We target young adults who are looking to enter the tech industry as a junior web developer. That is our target. Individuals who graduate from high school, or you have equivalency and you want to learn this skill, looking to enter the tech industry. Just get your foot in the door, essentially. And so we teach individuals, again, the fundamentals of full stack web development. What I mean by that is everything that goes on in front of us. So the pictures, the text, all the buttons, all the little fancy stuff that we see on the web every single day, whether we're on a laptop, desktop, or on a mobile device. And then also everything that goes on behind the scenes, like how do you architecture a database? How do you connect to that database and serve data from the database onto the browser? And that's essentially the full stack, and that's what we teach. So what we want to do is we want to tap into a widening pool of human capital that has been traditionally underserved, and providing them with a skill that makes them instantly marketable and employable. A lot of nice words that I wrote by myself. But yeah, there's this huge pool in the state of Mississippi. We're talking about right now about 1,200 jobs in the state as a junior developer that cannot be filled. Well-paying jobs that cannot be filled because there aren't people who know how to do the work. As I stated earlier, only 0.5% of the entire world knows how to do what I do every single day. and what I'm teaching individuals how to do. So essentially, I have put myself somehow into this exclusive territory. So that's what I'm doing, and now I'm trying to teach other people how to do this work. So that's what we're doing at the Coding Academy every day. And so, but it's not, isolated. We don't just, sit there and just do things on our own, what have you. We do partner with local companies, freelance developers. We want to be a part of the entire tech community. And they help us with curriculum design, with staffing, any other kind of opportunities, workshops, networking, whatever. We are working along with the tech community in our own way, trying to improve all the conditions in the state of Mississippi. I always say, for me, it's not about satisfying someone's hobby. Individual wants to learn how to code just because they want to, just be able to make games or just make pictures, spin around or something like that on the web. That's not what it's about for me. Going back to the work that Dr. Moses did in the 60s with SNCC and later on with the Algebra Project, for me, it is all about economic empowerment, getting individuals foot in the door as a junior web developer, providing them this opportunity to grow, if you will, in this field. What I tell my children, what I tell young people when I go to schools and talk with them, I tell them, listen, there are going to be jobs that will be available to you in 10, 15 years that do not exist today. And the thing that is driving those jobs is technology. So what I like to do, and in my teaching methods at Lanier High School, 12, 15 years ago, are the same with the Mississippi Coding Academy. My philosophy is I'm trying to prepare people for what will be presented to them in the future, not necessarily what's in our face right now. Because if we know anything, what's in our face right now is subject to change. Okay. And it will pivot whenever it decides it wants to pivot. So that is the work that we do with the Coding Academy. It is a great opportunity. I can say for myself personally, it has changed my life. I'm not a traditional coder, as I stated. I went to school for business. I found out, well, I knew that I could teach because my mother taught kindergarten for 40 years and both of my sisters are teachers as well. So it's kind of a family thing, I guess, kind of like what's the movie Coco, where everybody in the family is making shoes. My family educators. But anyways, I found out I could do that, and I got the opportunity to come to the Coding Academy, not knowing how to code. I bought a book on Python and was coding right along with our first cohort. I was learning everything right along with them. It just so happened that I had to learn not just for myself, but how to take what I learned and present it to other people. And that's really my story as far as being in the tech world and tech community. I'm just using the things that I know to help empower other individuals. So that's essentially what, my goal is, what I want to do in life. Listen, just helping people. And if it wasn't tech, if it wasn't coding, then it would be something else, but how do I try to make this world a better place than it was before I got here? So here's a little bit of information about us. If you want to reach out to us and get more information about what we're doing, our website, www.mscoding.org. We also have applications for anybody that would be interested, or if you know somebody that would be interested in enrolling in the academy. We have applications online. We always start a cohort in July of every year, and it goes all the way till the end of May the following year. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, just keeping up with some of the things that we're doing. Just search Mississippi Coding Academies if you want to, and you'll find us there. Also, if you're interested, you can email me. My email is herb@mscodingacademies.org. So yeah, that's the way to contact me. And that is the PowerPoint presentation that I have to kind of guide me in talking. But I would like to take any questions that anybody has. I see, is this offered through JPS CDC? No, it is not offered through JPS. Actually, we are our own nonprofit. We serve, again, individuals who have at least whether you have a high school diploma or equivalent. So if you are a high school graduate, maybe you tried college and it didn't work out, or even if you graduated from college and you just, you have issues, problems finding a job, or you want to, start something completely different, then you can enroll in the Coding Academy. Can you talk about building confidence in folks starting out? Yes, I can, Zach. So, again, coming from somebody who did not know how to code, right? I had minimal, and I mean minimal, experience with like any kind of computer science thing, previously to me joining the team at the Coding Academy. So that confidence thing is very, very touchy, right? Even now to this day, and as the senior instructor for the academy, I still have those feelings like, is there somebody better than this? And I have to tell myself, no one is better to do my job than me. That's why I have this job. But one of the things that I bring up is that, again, the very first time they print out "Hello World," they HTML, they type in H1 "Hello World," it shows up on the browser, and at that point, I tell them, "Hey, guess what? You are a developer now. If you can do that, if you can write something in this editor and it shows up on the browser, you are a developer. So you are now part of the community. Now, you may not necessarily be good, right? But you are a developer at this point, okay? So now it's all about just getting better at what you do. And I tell them every day, and they can say it word for word, you're going to write bad code, okay? We all write bad code. And you're going to write bad code until you decide that you don't want to write bad code in that way. And then the next day, you write less bad code. And that's essentially what it is. We're going to make mistakes. We have all kinds of issues, spelling, syntax, logic, design, all this stuff. It happens, okay? But when you consider that here I am, just regular old me, who can do something that 99.5% of the world cannot do. That right there is fascinating to me. So that's how I try to build confidence. Let them know you're going to make mistakes, but that's how we learn everything. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Can you attend if you already? Yes, you absolutely can attend if you already have a college degree. This is for individuals who want to learn this skill and want to work as a junior developer. That is my goal always. In this, I tell them, hey, stay in the car with me. If you go along with me and do this work, I'm going to do everything I can to help you get hired as a junior developer. Um, that's my goal, and I teach towards that. As I stated, I don't teach towards, oh, I'm just learning something just to learn it. I'm actually teaching people, so they can, become developers. And maybe they don't do that. Maybe they decide to do something else with their lives. That's fine. But my goal is to get people hired on the day that they graduate from the academy. That's my goal. So we're pretty good at that. I believe we've been getting some people hired in these 5 years. So as long as we keep doing that, and that's our philosophy, then I think we'll be okay. How many students are admitted into each cohort? So it fluctuates, Crystal. We're small. We're a small operation here in Jackson. I didn't mention that we have 3 academies in the state currently. There's one in the Golden Triangle area, and there's one in Biloxi. So, but here in Jackson, I'm trying to get 50 individuals this year. So that's what I'm hoping to do. If we can get 50, I'll feel pretty good. Would you be willing to meet with middle school students about your career? Absolutely. However you want me to do it, you can. We can talk about that again. If you have my email, herb@mscodingacademies.org, you can email me, and we can definitely discuss that. Is there an age limit, Betty? So my youngest is 19. He just turned 19 last month. Right out of, he came right out of high school. My oldest is actually one of my former colleagues at Lanier. She retired from Lanier. She's somewhere in her 60s. And she saw what I was doing. She reached out to me and was like, hey, I've always wanted to learn how to do this. I got, I started out in computer science, got derailed through life, and, started teaching. Now I want to go back and learn. I'm like, okay, hey, come on, let's go. Right. So no, there's no age limit. I'm not looking at that at all. See, Q&A from a nonprofit for the young person who may not know if coding is right for them. Are there certain characteristics, skills, passion? Oh, wow, that's a great question. That is a great question. And I really don't have the answer to that. I'm no kind of authority on that at all. I've noticed that a lot of people in our academy who tend to do well are usually into music or into art. Those are a couple of qualities that I've seen for like strong candidates, but it's really, honestly, it's just about wanting to do the work and wanting to learn. For me, I mean, music is my thing, but above that, or equal to it at least, I just don't like not knowing things, right? I'm always a life learner. I'm always, reading something, trying to figure things out. It's like I have this brain. I'm not going to ever get another brain. I might as well just maximize this brain as much as I can for as long as I can. So it's really about just wanting to learn and not being afraid of making mistakes. I think more than anything, what hurts people in this field is they're so afraid of making mistakes that it stifles them, and it stifles their ability to actually think. So yeah, that's the only thing I would have to offer that. I mean, we've tried to find, the answers and, try to figure that stuff out to find what makes a good coder, because that will help us in recruiting and whatnot. And there's really, I haven't found anything that leans one way or the other towards that. If you submit an application, can we study with the academy at home, or are you required to come? So we've been doing a hybrid version this year, and there are some things that have been really impressive about it that I like, and there's some things where, I can see where for certain individuals it's not a good method for them. I would prefer people come in person because then I can actually, be a lot more hands-on and helping you. A lot of times I have to take the computer from my coders and kind of show them how to do things or whatever. So I prefer that. But the cool thing about being virtual is, and this is like really amazing. I think this is like totally awesome. One of the most impressive things that I've done in this job so far is we have a student who's Nigerian. She lives in Nigeria. She's a college student. She wanted to learn coding, and she was searching online for like coding academies. And out of the coding academies that she saw and researched, she chose us, and that is like so awesome to me. And I told her, like, hey, we've been used to just working with individuals who live in Mississippi, and that's what we've traditionally done. But if this works, like if you come to the coding academy and then you go on to like become a senior developer at Netflix or or Google or something, or you create the next huge thing and you are a multimillionaire, then you're going to give me some money so I won't have to work anymore. But also it's like, what kind of story that makes for the academy? Like, hey, we had this individual, who all the way across the other side of the world, 7 hours ahead of us. And, she graduated from the academy, went on, got a job and doing these great things. Like we become global then. So I really took a shot, and one of the things that Rich said, he was like, this is one point where I'm so glad that you asked for forgiveness and not permission because we probably would have said no. But yeah, it's been working. So that's like really cool. Do I have a favorite success story from the academy? I do. I have a couple of them. One, I had an individual who was in the second cohort. Well, I'll go from the first cohort. I have an individual who she was working nights. I think it was like 12 to 7 every night doing home health care, and had no experience prior. Had left college maybe after a year or two, and just wanted to come and learn. Had no experience. Like I said, she was doing home health care. I didn't know that she was working those hours until maybe 3 or 4 months into the program, where she just said, she was just tired, but she never missed a day, always on time, always left on time, never slept during the day. I mean, we just do the work, whatever. She graduated. One of our very first hires was working at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Research and Development Center for a little over a year. And now she's actually one of my junior instructors. So she's back to the academy now, and she's great success story for me because of the work that she put in. I have another individual in the second year. He dropped out of high school in the 11th grade to help his family. Was driving trucks for a couple years and doing other jobs and wasn't satisfied. Came to the academy, just really excited, no experience at all. And the bug just bit him instantly. In that first week, he made a couple things that, in Python he was excited about. I'm like, okay, cool. He came to show me while I was in the middle of teaching, and I was like, okay, cool, great. Go try to build Pac-Man. And, I was like giving him a challenge, but like, just kind of go shoot. So the next morning he comes back and he had started on Pac-Man and had like the design and like the mouth moving. So, and then he started working on all kinds of other stuff, and just really just took off. And again, he's another person who's one of my junior instructors now. But he went out and was working for about 2 or 3 years, and came back to the academy. So that's another really awesome story. And I got a few more that are really great. So I'm trying to stay on my time. Is there an age range for enrollees? High school diploma equivalent, and all the way up until just whatever, however long life the creator gives us. The next session will start in July. So I'm accepting applications right now for this next cohort. We want to start the week after the 4th of July. And so that's when we'll be starting the next one. Do the Academy have day and night classes? Yes, we do. We do have day and night classes. The day classes run Monday through Friday, 9 to 3:30. And the evening classes are Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8:30. So we cover the same material for both of them. The evening courses, obviously, we're going to expect individuals to do a lot more independent practice work, so that they can, stay on pace and stay on track, because we don't want them to lose any of the material that the day course is they're getting. But also, we've been very loose about that, mainly because of the pandemic, and the last cohort, the 2021 cohort, we were virtual the entire year. And so we had a good portion of them, maybe 5 or 6 of them, who would log on in the day and the evening as well. So we're like, hey, if you want to learn, come and learn. My thing is, if you put forth the effort, you can get this. So we're going to cover the same amount of material. It's really the same instruction. Nothing is different from one to the other. If you want to come, if you enroll in the evening course, but you want to come in during the day sometime, come on. If you're in the day course and you want to participate in the evenings, you could do that as well. You log in and get some extra practice, whatever, in the evening. So we can be flexible with that. My thing is, I want people to learn, and I want everyone to kind of like enjoy this work. It's I like it. I like cool things, and I think this is cool. So yeah, we just want people to enjoy it and put forth the effort into being successful, because ultimately I am still an educator at heart. And one thing that my philosophy has always been, even when I was teaching in high school, I hold one person's hand, and that's Cassandra Evans Brown. That's it. I don't hold anybody's hand. Like, I'm going to help you. I will walk with you. I will, whatever you need me to come pick you up, bring you to the office. You need me to take you home, whatever you need. I mean, really, you need clothes for interview stuff. We'll, whatever. Hey, but I'm not going to like hold your hand with this process, because I will not be able to hold your hand once you get hired. Right? You can come ask a question, but I can't do the work for you. Okay. But if you want to do it, come on. You got time, you got effort, then come on. Oh, I did not mention this. And no one asked, which is kind of funny. How much does the Coding Academy cost? What is tuition? We are tuition free. We do not charge individuals at all. Free 99. We supply laptops for anybody who needs a laptop. So yeah, it's really about the individuals wanting to learn. How much effort are you going to put into it? Any books, we supply the books. We take care of lunch every single day for the day course. Like, all that stuff is provided. You just have to come in and do the work. And I'm not, a bad person to learn from. I like to have fun, whatever. And I like to, I try to make it, the work exciting and meaningful, like you're actually doing something, right? So I try to do that, and it's working out. So yeah, it's all about wanting to come and do the work. who contributes funding for your work. Uh, Kellogg is our main funder. They are for the city of Jackson. We also have some corporate sponsors out there. Comcast is a huge one. That, matter of fact, they fund the evening course for us. And we have some other funds out there. So yeah, we're able to do that, and hopefully, I would like for us to continue that and offering it for free. So I mean, you just think about, a kid who comes out of high school, comes to the academy, gets to hang out with me for 11 months, learn this skill, go get a job as a junior developer, and start working at a company, and it didn't cost them anything. And then maybe they decided they want to go to college afterwards, which is cool. I mean, we have individuals who do that, who go to college after they leave the academy. Maybe the individual, gets with a company that pays for their tuition. So now you don't have student loans like this bonehead right here. So yeah, I mean, basically you're getting this education and everything for free. And, that's what I mean when I say economic empowerment, because, you don't have the burden of student loans, which is eating up so much of our money, right? It's an idea, it's, it's new, but, it's out here. What computers do you use? I, Betty, use a MacBook. I'm not like, super Apple, although this is an Apple Watch and everything, and AirPods and iPhone, whatever, and Beats. but I'm not, I'm not into that, Apple versus Microsoft. I don't. Hey, it's all the same to me. But that's what I use. Now, the laptops that we provide are not MacBooks. They're Acer Aspires, I think is what they are. Really, anything just gets the job done. It doesn't have to be super, some kind of super machine or anything. I do recommend that anybody that's in the academy not use a Chromebook, because you can't download a lot of software. But other than that, whatever has enough space to like store your files, and you just get on the internet. Does the organization take donations or volunteer time? Yes and yes. I believe on the website there is a link where you can donate. So yeah, you can do that there, and that's the best way to handle that, because if you give me the money, you see what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to go buy some records. I'm not lying to you at all. And volunteer time, yes, absolutely. We love that. We consider ourselves, a part of the tech community, and not only do we want to welcome volunteers, people come and give guest lectures, talk about the work that they're doing, what have you, but also we want to help as well. I'm thankful for the Beam Path, and having some of our coders come and participate in the tech Saturdays, in the help desk Saturdays, what have you, and anything else. We don't want to just receive, because I mean they're getting this education at no cost, right, to them. So it's only fitting that they, give back in certain ways. So I mean, whatever ways that, we can, give back to the tech community as well. I mean, we're all for that. So yeah, that's us. That's the Coding Academy. I really want to appreciate everybody listening in, and all of the questions. It's gone a lot better than what I thought. Honestly, I was very, very nervous. Like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? Why me? What I'm saying? But then I had to remember, why not me, right? So I do want to thank you all for participating, for all the questions. And again, my information is out there, www.mscoding.org. That's our website. If you want to reach me personally, it's Herb, HERB, at mscodingacademies.org. any questions that you have about enrolling, about wanting to come visit, want me to come and visit, I'll make myself available for that. Thank you all so much. The Beam Path, I love the work that you all have been doing. I really do appreciate it, and just partnering with us and trying to better our lives as a whole. Thank you all so much for having me. And I don't know if Beam Path, anybody saying anything, if there are any final words, or do you all just leave? I don't know how this works, but I thank you all so much.